Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews as we continue our interview with Warren Greshes. In segment 2 of our interview, Warren dives deeper into entrepreneurship, talks about selling skills, as well as insurance. So enjoy, and we'll see you again for another show. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, Asking the Entrepreneur Who Owns One. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed about owning your own business, then this is a show to listen to. And today, we're with our very special guest, Warren Greshes. And, Don, I think you're up. I think we wanted to talk to Warren about a little bit more about entrepreneurship and, like, insurance and things like that.
Yeah, Warren. One of the areas you address when talking about entrepreneurship is the importance of disability insurance, health savings accounts, and health insurance. I know my father-in-law was had his own insurance business, New York City, and he always talked about the importance of disability insurance. So maybe talk about those couple of things a little bit for entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. You know, the thing about disability insurance, a couple of things about it. First, it's a must. It must if you're going to own your own business. Remember, one of the big problems with owning your own business as opposed to working for a company is that you don't have a safety net. You know, when you work for somebody else, especially when you work for a large company, they're going to supply you with health insurance. They're going to supply you with disability policy. They're also probably going to supply you with a small life insurance policy. But the second you leave that company, all that stuff is gone. And you're really going to need that disability insurance. And God forbid something happens to you and you're unable to work. Essentially, you're out of business. Well, disability insurance is going to give you an income. Now, remember something about disability insurance. Here's the important thing to remember. You cannot get disability insurance if you do not already have an income. And if you're first starting your own business, you're not going to have an income. So what I did was I knew I was going to go into my own business. So while I was working for somebody else and was making an income, I started buying disability insurance.
Right.
And so while you're working, you must, the whole thing about starting a business, if you're not planning ahead before you get into that business, don't go into business. You know, that's why I saved my money. That's why I bought disability insurance. I had disability insurance when I went into business because I knew once I started for the first few years I wasn't going to be able to buy any more because I didn't have an income. I wasn't paying myself.
Right.
Now, so when you're working, buy as much as you, if you know you're going to go into your own business, if you have any desire or plans to do it, buy as much as you can. You know, insurance companies will only give you as much as your income allows. You know, you can't buy as much as you want. They judge it according to the amount of income you have coming in. Now, once my speaking business started to take off, and every time my income rose, I bought more disability insurance.
Right.
I got a ton of disability insurance. God forbid anything ever happens to me, I've got a nice income coming in every single month. Now, once I hit 65, I'm not going to need it anymore. And they're not going to give it to me anymore either. The other thing about health savings accounts, you know, as a small business owner, you're going to get really destroyed by health insurance. The premiums are monstrous. The costs are ridiculous, but you got to have it. You can't afford to get sick, and you can't afford to let hospital and doctor bills put you out of business.
Right.
For years, I had health accounts, health insurance that were killing me. But, you know, when the health savings accounts came out, I realized, and I went to somebody, you know, I always had a good insurance agent. That's another thing. You know, there's a lot of things you should skimp on as a small business owner. Watch your pennies. Watch your overhead. You know, things like long-distance telephones, you know, cell phone plan, you know, all that sort of stuff. You know, overhead, watch it. But the one thing you don't want to skimp on is expert advice.
Right.
You got to have a good lawyer, a good accountant, and a good insurance agent. You know, those people, don't worry about paying them. You know, if you're going to, don't look to skimp on an accountant, a lawyer, or an insurance agent because you're going to end up with a crummy one. And a crummy one is going to cost you more than what you're paying out. So get good people. I have a great agent, and he advised me on the health savings accounts, found me someone to work with, and now I have a health savings account for my business. You know, it's a low premium, high deductible plan with great tax deductibility in it. It's the greatest tool for a very small business. And I'm a big believer in that. You should also have life insurance. You know, when you're in your own business, you want to protect your family, you need life insurance. But I cannot emphasize enough planning ahead and buying disability while you're still working and making a good income before you start your business. Because then at least you're giving yourself some sort of safety net. Don't allow catastrophic things beyond your control to put you out of business.
Right.
Such an important point you bring up, especially something like disability insurance. No one's going to think of that. No one thinks of themselves as getting sick. Everyone's trying to stay positive, starting a new business, but you got to set yourself up across the board starting a business, just not things like this, putting together a business plan and calculating how long you can go, before you make a salary.
And I'll tell you something. You're more likely to get hurt than you are to die.
Right.
So disability insurance is very important.
Yeah, that's what my father-in-law told me. It's just as important, if not more, than having life insurance.
Absolutely, and I have both. I spend a big part. I spend a lot of overhead every year on insurance: life insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance, health insurance, liability insurance. I am insured up the gazoo.
It's expensive, but you have to have it.
Right.
Warren, the next question is, what advice would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur who doesn't have a background in sales? Someone who's
Get one.
not as good as
Marty
and I.
Get one. One. All right? I don't care if you don't have a background in sales. No one believes in you, your products, your services, and what you do more than you do.
Right.
I agree.
Everybody wants to hire someone to sell for them. Well, let me tell you something. If you're starting out a new business, I don't care how good the salesperson you hire is, they're not going to do much business. And if they're not going to do much business, they're not going to make any money. If they're not going to make any money, they're going to leave you.
Right, you're going to quit.
You're the head of sales and marketing. Be the head of sales and marketing. If you don't know how to sell, learn how to sell. Buy the books, go to seminars, listen to podcasts, listen to audio, listen to CDs, watch DVDs, whatever it is. Get all the sales information you can and put it into practice. Become an expert in sales. Because, no one can sell who you are and what you do better than you can, because no one believes in who you are and what you do more than you do. And I'll tell you what, you really think in your first couple of years in business you're going to get a salesperson who's going to really believe in who you are and what you do? I don't think so. So learn how to sell. And even when you get to the point where you can afford to hire salespeople who can do a good job for you, do not take yourself out of the sales loop, because you do not want to give up control of your business to somebody else.
I agree.
And depending on how you're paying that salesperson, it could be very expensive. A lot of salespeopeople need 6 to 12 months before they're even making money. In a young, small business,
Absolutely.
you do a lot of overhead right away. But I believe what you're saying there, even if you were not the type who can just pick up the phone and make a cold call, there's other ways to get business going. I mean, postcards, direct mail. You can do other things to get the name out there to make it easier than to make that follow-up call.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know what? You better learn how to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Cold calling, anything it takes. If you don't want to make cold calls, well, then you better get yourself a lot of referrals. But you're still going to have to be proactive. You're still going to have to talk to people. You're going to have to go out and see people. You got to learn how to do it. Nowadays there's so many resources available online to teach you how to sell. I mean, I've got all sorts of products online, and you never have to leave your house.
I agree, absolutely. I mean, they could just go to your website, Warren, and that's a whole educational tool in itself.
I've got a book, I've got audio programs, I've got video, I've got online video, I've got regular DVD. It's like you don't have to leave your house.
I agree.
You can probably take anybody, Warren, just anybody, no sales experience, someone who's shy, whatever, and you can turn them into a top salesperson.
Absolutely. There's no such thing as a sales personality. No such thing.
No, I agree with that, yeah. I downloaded one of your books, Warren, Don't Count the Yeses, Count the Nos. And
right.
I thought that was one of the best pieces of sales advice I ever got in my life, and I've always been comfortable with selling, but it just made so much sense to me after I listened to it and read it, and just fantastic.
Thank you.
Even after you hire salespeople, Warren, you should still keep selling, right? I mean, because otherwise you become dependent on your top salesperson, right? I mean, what
exactly
if they quit?
It. Never take yourself out of the sales loop.
Right.
Because if you do, you're going to make yourself totally dependent on somebody else, and they're going to be controlling your business, and you do not want somebody else controlling your business.
I agree. What software programs would you recommend to aspiring entrepreneurs, Warren? I mean, again, there's so many great ones out there. Which ones have you used that have?
Well, I'll tell you what we use, and we always have. Since the beginning of time, since we started this business, we've used the contact management database. And the one we use is ACT. Now, I'm not saying it's the best one out there, but I'm telling you that we have been using it for many, 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 many years. My wife loves it. She works the phones for me. And by the way, let me give a piece of advice to the people out there. The ability to save money and the ability to learn how to live on one income gave us the freedom that when my wife was ready to go back to work after my second child was born, my daughter, she was able to come to work for me.
Right.
Because we were able to live on one income. So now I didn't have to go out and hire somebody else and add to my overhead. I've got somebody who's not only working for me, who's really good at it, because my wife was in sales before she left the workplace to have children, but my wife also believes in what we do more than anybody else. And so, and it's also given us the ability to work out of our house and to always be home for someone to always be home for our kids. This is good. The ability to save our money and live on one income and learn how to do that has given us the freedom to do whatever we want with our lives.
Just seems like you just had a great team with your wife. That's something Marty and I have talked about, especially on the last few weeks show of someone opening a franchise. One of the important things is getting the support of your spouse.
If you do not have 100% support of your spouse and your family, do not do it, because I'll tell you right now, here's the problem. Guys, are you still there?
Yeah.
Still here, Joe. Still here, Warren.
Okay, good, because I know you had some trouble with the phones.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. When you're in your own business, you go out there every day into the street to sell, and you'll go out there every day when you first start to get your brains beat out.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, you get your brains beat out every single day, because selling is all about rejection.
Exactly.
So you're getting your brains beat out every day. The last thing you need is that when you come home at night after getting your brains beat out, to come home to a place where you're also going to get your brains beat out.
That's right.
So if you're not coming home to a place where you have absolute 100%, no questions asked, support and positive reinforcement, do not do it.
Your brain can only take so much punishment.
That's right, because you're going to get your brains beat out during the day. You don't want to get your brains beat out at night. I knew I always had a safe haven to go to after a day of getting my brains beat out.
Right.
That's fantastic. It's so
important. My wife used to always say, think of all the great stories you're going to be able to tell one day about this.
That's right.
And you do that with all your speeches. I'm sure you.
This is what it's all about. You got to have that safe haven to go to.
I agree.
Yeah, how many total books have you written, Warren?
I've just written the one so far, the best damn sales book ever, 16 rock-solid rules for achieving sales success. It's been out for a little over a year now, and I'm very happy to say it's done extremely well. It's published by John Wiley.
Yeah, it is. It's without exaggeration, for me, Warren, it's been the best sales book that I've ever read, and I've read a lot of them. You know,
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Really relate to the book. You know, it just makes so much sense. And like you say, I think anyone can become a good salesperson after reading that book.
Oh, I have no question in my mind that anybody that really wants to can become a good salesperson. There's so many fallacies and fables about selling. You have to be like this. No, you don't. You just got to go out and talk to people. You got to help, and you got to talk to people every single day. That's all.
And I like the last time you were on the show, Marty and I talked about it. Just come up with the amount of calls you have to make and just stick to it. No matter how bad you're doing or how good you're doing.
That's right.
If you're having a great month and you say, well, maybe I'll take it easy today, that's not the right attitude. You just got to go all out every day. Keep that up and have that, just have that mindset.
Have the plan. Know what you got to do. Know how much rejection you need in order to get what you want. If you don't know what you want, then you're not going to know what you need to do. So it all starts out with the goal. It all starts out with the plan.
I think you also mentioned, like sometimes people say, well, I don't want to make sales call first thing on a Monday or late on a Friday or a day before a holiday. Yeah. But you said those are times when people aren't making calls. That's the best time to call.
Exactly.
Well, the best time to do it is when everyone else has given up. Monday mornings, Friday afternoons, late, early. I mean, just think about it. Most salespeople are totally average and really pretty crappy at what they do. Right. And so, they're always looking for an excuse to not do it. I mean, I found as a salesperson when I was working in the garment center that my biggest sales came on Friday afternoon because I had no competition.
Exactly.
But people get caught up in thinking, well, what's the other person going to think if I'm calling a day before a holiday or late on a this guy must be hurting for business. But who the heck cares if you have something and you believe in your product and you have something that can really help them.
Oh, absolutely.
And if that person can be interested, they don't care when you're calling.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it. They couldn't care less. In fact, they're pretty impressed by people who are calling at that time when nobody else is.
Now that I'm talking a little bit here, Warren, I think I'm a little better salesperson than you are. You have a problem with that?
No, not at all. I hope you are.
That's because you read the book, Don. Well, we have about 30 seconds. What's the best way for someone to get more information on all your different services? I know you have blogs and podcasts and all that other stuff. What's the best way for?
Well, just go to my website at Greshes.net.
Okay.
GRESHES.net or .com, either way. If you want to sign up for our blog, you'll get weekly updates from the blog. We have articles, we have video now on the blog, we have podcasts on the blog, lots of great free information. And so you can go to my blog at GreshesBlog.com or just go to my website at Greshes.net. They could call me at my toll-free number at 800-858-1516. And they can go to my book site at bestdamnsalesbook.com. So there's a million ways to get a hold of me, and even if you just Google Warren Greshes, believe me, you'll get to all those sites.
And we're going to promote your book as well, Warren. We're going to put your book on several of our websites.
That'd be great. I appreciate that, guys.
No problem. We appreciate you coming on, Warren. As usual, great stuff. You had me all pumped up today. I'm going to be making
my pleasure. This was great. I'd love to do it again. You guys have a great show.
Thanks so much, Warren. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Take care, Warren.
You too. Thanks, Warren. Bye-bye. Another great show, huh, Don?
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. I mean, he's just, you could talk to him all day. We could do a 5-hour show with him. He's just that good.
Solid practical advice that sometimes people forget about sometimes.
Absolutely. I mean, we've never had anyone on the show, as long as we've been doing this, talk about, like, insurance and things like that, I've never heard it, I mean, talking about health savings accounts and, I like what he said about sales, I mean, he said, just do it, He says it's not a choice, What if you're not a good salesperson? Well, become a good salesperson,
right. There's so many resources out there to become a good salesperson.
Yeah, and I mean, he's it for me as far as learning how to sell. I mean, he's just very practical when you read his newsletters and his book and all that other stuff. He's just fantastic. So
I know. Basically, on our show, we have him here. Really, what's the total time? About a half an hour. Can you imagine listening to him for about an hour and a half? I mean, I'd be writing away the whole time, taking notes.
Absolutely.
Stuff to offer, yeah.
He really is great. Well, great job, Don, today, and we've got another great show next week. We got Yum Brands, and for our listeners, go to franchiseinterviews.com.